Welcome back. Look, I don't know how to start these videos every time I do them. Well, we all know why you're here. For what will probably be my most controversial video ever. We're gonna be talking about AI-generated screenplays. I know, it's controversial. I literally just said it. Weren't you listening? But seriously, this topic has been on my mind for a while because in the last couple of years, I have read a lot of scripts that I suspect were generated by AI. And if they weren't, I'm very sorry. There are a lot of people out there who genuinely think that AI can replace writers, which is why today I'm going to prove that wrong. I'll be doing this by analyzing some AI-generated scripts. And no, I will not be using AI to generate any screenplays. There's plenty of people on YouTube who have already done it for me. So let's see how this AI writing holds up from a story analyst's perspective. The first AI-generated short film we're watching today was made by ChatGPT and posted by Samuel Burt. And lucky for us, he actually posted a screenshot of the screenplay. Fade in, exterior, a dark and starry night sky, -night. Okay. First of all, ChatGPT, that's super redundant. We know it's a night sky. First of all, because you said dark and starry. Secondly, because you said night sky. And third, because you ended it with night. I think one of those things would suffice. Looks like ChatGPT isn't so efficient after all. The lone figure, Jason, staring up at the night sky. Oh my god. Once again, mentioning that it's the night sky, and now that I see this line of action description, ChatGPT, your scene header is wrong. It should say where Jason is. He's not in the sky. He's looking at the sky. Where is he looking at the sky? That's your scene header. I think I'm gonna have a lot of notes on this. Like, we may only be able to do one AI-generated script at this rate. But I digress. Let's continue. He looks deep in thought, as if searching for something. I don't have too much to say about that. Some writers write like this, and it is okay. Since I am giving feedback right now, what I would say is you want to say exactly what we are seeing, not what the character is thinking. Because how do you portray that he is searching for something? You can certainly portray that he's deep in thought, but searching for something? How are we going to know that? Just based off looking at him on the screen. And once you figure that out, that's what you write in your action description. Anyway, Jason voiceover. Ever since I was a kid, I've always wondered about our purpose in the universe. Why are we here? What's the point of it all? A short film has such a limited amount of time to tell the story, but starting it out with someone that we don't know, just being like, ever since I was a kid, I don't care. I don't care what you thought since you were a kid. Make me care, then I'll listen. So, in a nice way, what I'm saying is we should know a little bit more about this guy before we're supposed to care about his thoughts. Sorry, not sorry, hee hee. Cut to, okay, no. It's like this was literally written to piss me off specifically. Whenever I see cut to in a screenplay, oh, you don't even want to know what I'm thinking. But to put it nicely, cut to is implied when you move to the next scene. That's how movies work. I'm in a sassy mood right now, or this script is just really that bad. Let's continue. Interior Jason's bedroom night. Oh my god, ChatGPT, you actually made an accurate scene header. I'm really impressed. We see Jason, we see is just as bad, if not worse, than saying cut to. Because you know you're writing a screenplay, right? Anything you write in there, anything, we will see it. Because again, that's how movies work. So whenever I see we see in a script, all I see is wasted spaces in a line of action description. It's also a waste of my time to read we see, because I know I'm seeing it. I know I'm reading a screenplay. I could go on, but I have to cut myself off for my own mental health right now. But also going against my own mental health, let's continue reading this script. We see a younger Jason. Okay, you screwed up. What I'm getting from just that is that we are in a flashback. So that should be mentioned in the scene header. Flashback, interior, Jason's bedroom, night. And secondly, younger Jason, even though he is a younger version of a character that we were just introduced to, he is still a different character. So his name needs to be in all caps. Younger Jason. Anyway, we see a younger Jason lying in bed, staring up at the night sky through his window. It tells me exactly what's happening, which is really all you need. So 1 point to you, ChatGPT. Jason voiceover. I used to spend hours lying in bed staring at the stars, trying to find answers, but the more I looked, the more questions I had. Look, maybe this dialogue could be effective if we knew a little more about Jason, but because we don't, I really don't care that he's staring at the stars trying to find answers. Answers for what, my dude? Answers for what? Cut to, okay, I'm just going to ignore every cut to because I'm seeing there are a few more. We're going to pretend it's not there. Interior Jason's college classroom day. We see Jason sitting in a college classroom. I had no idea. Your scene header already tells us where your character is. You do not need to mention it again in the action description. It's just wasted space. Listening to a lecture on cosmology. This is a common thing I see in non-AI generated scripts as well, so ChatGPT, you get a pass on this one. Don't tell us in the action description that we are about to hear some dialogue. When we see the dialogue, we know that we are hearing the dialogue. And you don't need to tell us what's about to be said. We are going to read it in the next line. So thanks, ChatGPT, for giving me a warning that I'm going to be reading a line about cosmology, but I didn't need the warning. I could have just read it. Professor, the universe is vast and complex, and we are still trying to understand its origins and ultimate fate. Some scientists believe in the Big Bang Theory, while others believe in the steady state theory. Do you guys think that was a lecture on cosmology? Yes, it was. ChatGPT told me it was. Jason voiceover. I studied everything I could about the universe, hoping to find answers, but all I found were more theories and more questions. Interior Jason's lab day. We see Jason working in a lab. Okay, so you're telling me that Jason, who is established to be in Interior Jason's lab day, is working in a lab? You opened my eyes, ChatGPT. I never would have known he was in a lab unless you told me that in the action description after establishing it in the scene header. We see Jason working in a lab surrounded by scientific equipment. Okay, ChatGPT, I knew we were in a lab. You know, you told me that. To be fair, you told me twice. But I would have never known unless you told me that there was scientific equipment in this lab. But again, without being sarcastic, if your setting is something that is pretty self-explanatory like this, you don't need to tell us things that would obviously be in the room. For example, if your scene takes place in a classroom, you don't need to explain that there are 25 student desks and chairs to go with those desks and one teacher desk and a whiteboard and erasers. As soon as we see the word classroom, we are going to assume that all those things are in there. So it's really only necessary to mention if something is unique about this room. In this case, there is nothing unique about scientific equipment being inside of a lab. Let's get back to the script. Jason voiceover. I became a scientist, hoping to make a breakthrough that would change everything, but all I found were more dead ends. See, now I'm starting to care a little about Jason and his theories. Honestly, I think it would have been more effective if we had started with Jason in the lab, because then we know he's a scientist. We should listen to what he's saying. He's not some random dude theorizing about the universe. So if I were giving nice, constructive feedback to this writer, I would say something like, consider opening the screenplay with Jason already in the lab, and then you can cut to the next two scenes as you have them already. This way you can establish who Jason is up front and why we as an audience should care about his opinions about the universe. Let's continue. Exterior, a dark and starry night sky dash night. Look, I'll give you one thing, ChatGPT. You're consistent. When your scene headers are inconsistent, it leads to a lot of confusion as to where your characters actually are. And once it gets to the point where your script is being budgeted, you're gonna want all your scene headers to be consistent so that your line producer can more accurately assess how many locations there are and get your budget right. So good for you, ChatGPT. You're really thinking about the line producer here. Not a lot of people do. We see Jason, now older, okay. So in the lab, was he younger? Because it didn't say younger Jason, it just said Jason. So I assumed reading that he's an adult. Also, he's working in a lab. I'm gonna assume that a child isn't working in a lab. Also, how old is younger Jason? Is he 5? Is he 13? Is he 27? How old is Jason now? ChatGPT, you've got me asking so many questions, and we're barely on page 2. But you know what? Enough of the questions that will help me better visualize this screenplay, right? Let's get back to reading it. We see Jason, now older, sitting on the ground, staring up at the night sky. He looks defeated. Well, now we know he's on the ground, but the ground could be anywhere. Is he sitting in a cemetery? Is he sitting outside at a pool? Is he in a prison? Actually, no, I know he's not in a prison because the scene header says exterior. Actually, he could be in a prison yard. He could be outside on the ground in a prison yard looking at the sky. My point in saying all of this is that the reader has literally no context for what story you're trying to tell. So if you want us to visualize something, you have to be specific. Because right now, I'm imagining that Jason is sitting in a prison yard looking at the sky. I don't know why he's in prison. Maybe one of his theories was too insane. At this point, the story I'm telling in my own head is better than the story in this script. Jason voiceover. I've spent my whole life searching for answers, but I've come to realize that maybe there are no answers. Maybe our purpose in the universe is to search for them. Okay, isn't this literally almost exactly what his line of dialogue was like 2 lines ago? Interior Jason's lab day. We see Jason working in his lab. What? No way. He's in his lab again? Oh my god, this guy is crazy. Surrounded by scientific equipment. What? Not again. Man, this Jason and his lab and his scientific equipment. But this time he looks content. What was he looking like before? Okay, last time he was in the lab, all we saw was that he was working in the lab surrounded by scientific equipment. There was no context for what he was thinking or feeling in that first scene. If something in your script mentions a previous scene like this, you should probably go back and make sure that all the context is there. Because like you just saw, I had to go back and look for it, and that is not good. If this script were good and I were actually into reading it, then this would have taken me out of the moment, because I would have thought, I missed something. And then I go back and see there was no context to begin with. Now I'm just confused. But let's keep reading. Jason voiceover. I may never find the answers I've been searching for, but that doesn't mean the search is pointless. It's the search itself that gives our lives meaning. All of these lines of dialogue are telling me the exact same thing. They're just worded slightly differently every time. And still, I know nothing about Jason and what these words he's saying mean to him. So basically what I'm saying is this script is not very effective because it doesn't give me a reason to care. Exterior, a dark and starry night sky night. We see Jason sitting on the ground. Once again, sitting on the ground. Does this dude do anything else other than go to his lab and sit on the ground? Staring up at the night sky. And that. He also does that. He looks at peace. You already know what I have to say about that one. Jason voiceover. Our purpose in the universe may be a mystery, but that's what makes it beautiful. It's the quest to understand it that gives our lives purpose. Look at all of these lines of dialogue and tell me they don't say literally the exact same thing. The structure of these sentences is exactly the same. There's no variance to these lines of dialogue. They may as well have just copied and pasted the exact same line 3 times, and it would be exactly as effective as this is right now. And now we fade to black. The end. I'm honestly a little surprised I had that much to say. Well, no, I'm not. I usually have a lot to say. But right now, I do not have the energy to make another one of these. And honestly, based on how long I've been recording, I have no clue how long this video is going to be, but I know it's going to be long. So maybe I'll make this into a series and do another AI-generated script analysis next time. But anyway, thank you for watching and putting up with my sassiness. Or maybe you enjoyed it. Don't lie to me. So come back next time for more sassiness and informative screenwriting videos. Bye!